Thank you for coming. I know it gets busy this time of year at work and with more domestic things like Christmas shopping, and you all could be catching up on your emails and doing your Christmas shopping at Pentagon City instead of being here at this seminar, so I thank you for coming. My name is John Adams. I'm the Executive Director of AM&P, this is a good audience, and I think we're going to have some good information for you from organizations, people with organizations that have won the Gold Award in our last competition and have done some really good work, and they're going to give you ideas that they put into use as they were submitting their entries, and you'll be able to put those into use for yours because it's Excel season right now. The competition's open, so and we've already gotten several entries on our new online entry site.
Anyway, I just wanted to take just a couple of minutes because not only is it Excel Awards for you, but I'm also wearing a different hat sometimes, which is with the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, which you may know better as the Emmys people. And I work with our regional chapter, which covers Washington, D.C., all of Maryland, and all of Virginia. And so this is currently our Emmy season, so we're accepting entries for video projects in our award cycle now. It runs about the same time frame as you guys, and our Emmy night next year is going to be June 25th in Baltimore. And so it's right before your annual meeting, I saw on the slide. So you won't have to make a conflicted decision about what to attend. You can win both places with different stuff. So anyway, a couple of the categories that we have that might interest you. We have informational, instructional. So any like training videos or educational videos that you may have made for your members or even your staff internally, those would count. Stuff does not have to be broadcast on television anymore to be entered. We've moved into this century and realized that there are other modes of distribution besides the great big box that's in people's homes these days. So stuff that's on the internet does count. So we have informational, instructional, promo campaign, short format, which really is a kind of catch-all. There's several categories that your stuff might fit into. So if you have questions about entering the Emmys, feel free to come and see me after your session today, or just pick up one of my cards on the way out. You can email me later. That's no problem, too. Thank you very much again for having me.
Let's thank our sponsors for the day. Thank you. Okay, as many of you know, we have gone to a new online entry system this year. Excuse me. And I think it's going to make everybody's life a little easier. It's going to make the staff's life a little easier. And we've already gotten some entries, a number of entries from associations, and we haven't gotten a lot of questions, and we haven't gotten any complaints. But if you have any, please call. So what that tells me is it's fairly self-explanatory and easy to use. But I'm going to show you a couple of things about it, just on the assumption that you haven't been there yet. First, what you need to know, and you're getting emails. You'll be getting at least one email a week with some of this information in it. The place to go is this URL, associationmediaandpublishing.org/Excel Awards. There are links there to documents that explain the entry process, and also a link to our online entry system, which for those of you who will also be working as judges for us in March, that will be done online too. So we won't be sitting there in the back of the room entering by hand all this data into spreadsheets and in the other Excel. When you log into the site, the first thing you'll be asked to do is create your account, which is relatively easy. What they'll do is they'll send you an email with the confirmation URL, and once you go to that, use the URL and you'll be registered. You don't have to enter everything at the same time. You don't have to complete an entry in the same session because you have your own account. You can save your work and go back to it later. It'll track your progress. It'll tell you what's complete, which entries are complete, which ones need more work, need you to add things. After you create your account, you'll get this screen. It says Enter Now. It scrolls down kind of a long way. Try to read everything and make sure you understand it. It's got the eligibility requirements and things like that. And there are 2 or 3 buttons you have to check. And it's pretty much like last year's, except it's not on a sheet of paper where you have to tick off boxes. First is the general category that your entry's in. We only have 7 categories this year. We took media innovation and web publishing and collapsed them into one category called digital media, but there are still the same number of opportunities for individual entries. Once you've selected one of those major categories, this screen will fill up with subcategories, which could be, I checked digital media, so the subcategory could be website or mobile app or video or whatever. There's one more level down for some categories, for some subcategories. So click one of those and then scroll down and you'll see a piece like this where you can check your final category, whether it's an educational video, whether it's a promotional video or whatever other kind of video it might be. We have 115 categories this year compared to last year's 113. We eliminated some because we were never getting any entries. We combined a couple because the entries were small, and we added a few so you can think of new things to enter and spend even more money with us on your entry fees. We've got 3 great speakers today. They're gold winners, or associations are gold winners, including an Excel Extra winner. We have Samantha Whitehorn here, Rick Pullen from Council of Insurance Agents and Brokers, and Rose Johnson from NACS.
And so another question we look at is the concept or idea really creative? Are we proud of the work? Did we do something outside the box? An example of this was probably 6 years ago. We did a Braille cover of Associations Now, where we actually worked with the Braille Association, and we actually had it embossed in the printing, so when people ran their hands over it, they could feel the Braille. And that was one that also won some awards back in the day. And then, are there metrics to support its success? Did we see a lot of traffic on Twitter because an article was posted on associationsnow.com? Did we get a lot of more Twitter followers? Did we get more attendees? Was it the most commented on article of that month when we look at our metrics report? And then finally, probably the most important is our team really proud of what they did or what we accomplished? I think that if you could rally your team and kind of, let them say what they are most proud of throughout the year, because every, kind of product we put out there is a team effort for ASAE. So if we really got people excited about it internally, then we expect that people externally will be excited about it too. So I will start with our first promotion that we won an extra award for, and I'll talk on behalf of our marketing department. This isn't directly in my wheelhouse, but this was for our 2014 annual meeting.
Here's one I love. This is one of my favorite covers. This is, you might not be able to see it very well. Well, I don't know if it's on here. All right, there. The birds, okay? This is a story about drones. But do you see drones up there anywhere? No. It's, we take the Tippi Hedren art from Hitchcock's movie, The Birds. We put all these drones up there instead of birds. And then the headline is the birds. Same art. We took it right from the movie poster and recreated it. And it says, "A night bear beyond anything you have seen or imagined." Doesn't say drones anywhere on the cover. But if you look at it, that's drones. Now, this is a great cover, and it won an award. We just had to pay for the photograph. I don't know, whatever. It's rights managed. It didn't cost much, maybe $500. I don't know. I mean, it's old. It's But yeah, I mean, we were very careful about that. Believe me, because we never got nailed, but recently another division of ours that puts out a newsletter downloaded a photo they thought was rights free and ended up it wasn't, and it cost the association big time. So, but you know, they don't. That division never comes to my division to ask for advice. So okay, you deserved it. You know. Also, we're always trying to look forward with what we do. Again, it's pressure on us to create good editorial. And this again comes down from my CEO. He's like constantly pushing us. I mean, this CEO at one time, when we now have a Square magazine. We used to have just a magazine sort of the size of the old Life magazine, oversized or something. And when we did our redesign after 8 years, geez, I mean, way too many years, but budget concerns, we never redesigned. You know, we came up with Square, Oblong, and he said, I want a round magazine. And well, everybody knows you can't create a round magazine. We had to do the research anyway to prove to him we couldn't do it. And so we talked to my printer, and well, we're going to have a little bit of a, you know, a flat side so we can, you know, bind it and all this kind of stuff. But finally, thank God for the post office. The post office will not mail a round magazine. You'd have to put it in a square envelope, and that would be cost prohibitive. He said, fine, go. Well, it was just an exercise. We do that, but we still had to answer the boss's, what he was trying to do. So anyway, so on here is our list of awards, what we've done. And it's interesting, this is what my ad reps hand out to people. And, you know, what I like is we've won 2 extra awards. I'm not sure if we're the only association. I think maybe ASAE has won 2 extra awards too, I'm not sure. But I think we might be the only one, or at least that's what our ad reps tell our advertisers. And twice we've won 4 golds in a single year. This year we won 4 golds, and several years back we won 4 golds. But if you flip over to the back page and you look at 2005, we didn't win anything. That was the first year we entered the awards. And actually, I've been a judge, and at that time, we actually used to do things in Chicago. So I was at the ASA, or excuse me, the SNAP meeting back then, SNAP meeting in Chicago, which is, I think, where I met my printer that time. And it might have been a different meeting. I think we might have met a year or 2 later. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, you know, and if has anybody here judged? Raise your hands. Okay, a lot of you know what it is. It's a bunch of tables in a big room, and each one of you is judging a category. And they say, please be careful what you say about, you know, other magazines, because there could be somebody at the next table and you're talking about their magazine. So just kind of watch it. But they weren't telling people that back then. And so I'm sitting at my table, and I'm hearing this lady look at my original magazine, go, oh, this is outrageous. You know, this is like, you know, who designs this kind of stuff? Well, that was my first experience with how conservative people are in the association world, and how boring you are, and how you don't, you know, you'd never make it if you had with that attitude in the consumer world. You got to think of your publication as a consumer publication. I mean, if you don't, you're never going to win anything. You know, if you want to be boring, you know, nobody's going to read you except for your boss. Another thing, if you write about your association and nothing else, nobody's going to read you except your boss. You know, I mean, I have an edict that one of the things when they hired me is say, this is not about the association, this is about our readers. And we sort of, when we started the publication, we sort of came up with our profile of what we wanted to be. We wanted to be a cross between the New Yorker, Cigar Aficionado, and Vanity Fair, but for insurance brokers. Now, make any sense out of that, you can. But that's what we strive to be. And if you look in the publication, you kind of, oh, yeah, I can see a little New Yorker there. I can see a little Vanity Fair there. You know, Cigar Aficionado, we're not allowed to put cigars in it anymore. I used to have a picture of me in the magazine with a cigar, and the boss said, hey, you know, we do health insurance, you can't do that. You know, so, but anyway, but they still let my fat gut in there every once in a while, so I'm not sure how that gets around it. But anyway, so my advice to you is do the best you can with every single one. Make it fun. You know, have art meetings that go all day long if you have to. Really work on your writers to just be different and bold and sassy and provocative. I mean, provoke people. Make them mad. You know, you make them mad that you get read. I mean, you know, and the first thing you got to do is go to your boss and tell your boss, guys, we want to be read. We're tired of not being read anymore. you know, and that's the way you win awards. So, any questions? Do I have one more here? Yeah. Oh, and this, I'm very proud of this. This year, for the first time, we won first, second, and third place in design for feature stories. We've never done that before. And, you know, and if you go through all this stuff, I think we actually won 2 golds for design one year. I mean, we've done all types of weird stuff through all the years doing this stuff. But, I mean, we print a little bit about the association, but they're little stories like this. And then once a year, we do a political story or something about the elections, but that's not really about us. That's still about our members. But it's our political lobbyist or something, you know, writing about that kind of stuff. We switched 3 years ago, January of 13, I think. Is that right? 13, 14, 15. Yeah, I think it was January of 2013. We went from the old format to the new. Now, the old format, everybody had to kind of reformat their ads for us anyway because we were oversized and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is just going to kill us. Well, the one thing, and this is something for all of you, you know, when you want to do a redesign, would tell your bosses. We were overwhelmed with advertising. Everybody wants to be in a newly designed magazine because they think everybody's really reading it well for the first 6 months or something. And they all want to, everybody wants to be in there at the very beginning. I was shocked. I never knew that before. I've been in this business a long time, and I learn lessons every day. And, you know, so it was like, you know, it was a financial boon to us, so it's really paid for the redesign. So we got a redesign for nothing is what we ended up doing because of the way advertising increased. And this is, we're talking January, which is, everybody knows is a horrible month. So they love the magazine. It's like the one they all say they take on an airplane. It's the one when I walk into their offices is always on the coffee table. You know, it's the one they all say they read first. It's the one they say, I was just out, I've been on the road. I just got back this morning and visiting a lot of our advertisers with our ad reps. And they just rave about the magazine. It's just, you know, and we're different. Smart business people are not stupid. They do not want to read boring stuff. Why your bosses are so afraid to offend somebody blows my mind. You know, you got to think about that. You got to go say, our members aren't stupid. They don't want to be bored by this. Every survey has its aberrant sort of stuff, you know. And if you to do a survey properly, you throw out the stuff on this side, the stuff on that side, you take the rest of it. Throw out the stuff on that side. Throw out the stuff, you know, throw out the squeaky wheels. It's not worth it, you know. And it's, and also talk to your advertisers. I mean, if you do that, then what is your association there for? Your association is there to lead your members. You don't lead by listening to the one guy who's disgruntled. You lead by listening to the majority, and you work with the majority. I mean, that's one thing my association does. We lead, and we have pushed this in recent years. I've been in an association now 13 years, and I've watched the evolution from just an association that serves to one that actually leads. Well, I have my direct boss is head of marketing, and I'm getting a lot of pressure from her now. You know, let's put this in the magazine, that in the magazine, and she came 4 years ago. Before she came, you know, the big boss, he was like in my corner. Well, now he's in her corner, you know, because she, you know, has his ear better than I do, and you know, but I push back on her, and we have a very good relationship, and I keep pushing back. I say, this is not about us, this is about our members. And I constantly push back on that. And to say it's about your members and one squeaky wheel, that's not your membership, you know. And you've just got to, you know, and also your boss has got to lead. What is he afraid of? You know, I mean, that's, you know, leaders lead, and you know, and people. I mean, there's some people. I mean, then you sort of become a politician where you follow the voters. I mean, the voters are way out front, and they come back. As an association, for your value, you need to be ahead of the game. You need to be this. You need, if your members are here, you need to be out here, telling them they need to move from here to here. And when they get there, you need to be out further. And that's sort of the way we see ourselves as an association. We are pulling some of our guys in. And any of you know insurance, they're pretty conservative in the way they operate and all that. And, but, you know, I'm lucky with the publication because I started it. So I created instant expectations. I was at a different association with some people in this room know about, and it was another insurance association, and it was much more conservative. The readers were much more conservative than the ones I have. They were also a lot less sophisticated. And one of the, we had a humor section, and what's her name? Lopez, Jennifer Lopez. So Jennifer Lopez, this is an insurance pub, okay? And we did funny things with headlines and photographs and stuff and quotes. And so somebody was quoted after Jennifer Lopez had a hit and run and she left the scene of an accident. You know, some quote in there about how she did this. So the headline was, "Don't worry, she's covered." So now we take a photograph of Jennifer Lopez, nude from the waist up, but with her arms crossed. Nothing you wouldn't see in People or Time or anywhere else. Firestorm in my old magazine. You know, oh, how could you do that to our magazine? So, you know, because I came into that magazine, it was 90-some years old, 97 years old or something. When you create your own expectations immediately, so nobody has ever complained, you know, about anything like that. Anything else? Have I talked too long? Thank you.
Good afternoon. First and foremost, I just wanted to say it's an honor to be here representing NACS, and knowing that we're here because our peers voted for us, it makes it all the sweeter. And as we all know, it takes a village to publish a monthly magazine. So I'd like to thank our printing partners also, Royal Printing, they're here as well. And Vince, if you just give a little wave. It's Vince's birthday today, so everybody wish Vince a happy birthday. So my name is Rose Johnson, and I am the print production manager at NACS. I've been there for, it'll be 5 years in January, and that gives me free parking. So before I dive in, I just want to apologize if I start to sound a bit robotic. Again, I am a production manager, so I'm not used to talking to a room full of people. They keep me in the back and throw cookies and chocolate at me when I get upset that they ask for deadline extensions. So I'm going to talk a bit about the process that NACS went through when we submitted our entries for the 2015 Excel Awards. We won a gold award for general excellence for our January through March 2014 issues, and a gold award for our media kit. We also won a silver award for our integrated media campaign for retail membership, and a bronze award for convention programs. Okay, so the three things that I will walk you through are the decisions that we made when creating the work, the process that we used for selecting what we would submit, and then some tips on how you can submit your entries as well. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about the work. And I'm going to focus on NACS Magazine. We actually did submit some entries previously before we won for General Excellence, and we did win a couple for some feature articles, but what we really, really wanted was the General Excellence Award. And I'm going to, you know, we knew we wanted to do a redesign in 2014, and we wanted to infuse the fun and energy of our industry throughout the publication and have that be reflected in our new design. As you can see, these are pictures from our show. It's full of energy, lights, candy, colors. We have booth babes that are all throughout the show floor. And you know, we have that flexibility of being able to have a lot of fun in our magazine. So we wanted to infuse that energy. And we know that we compete for readers' attention with industry-specific titles, as well as consumer titles like Inc., Forbes, and Fast Company. So we wanted to be a little more on trend with that. So because we have advertisers like Anheuser-Busch, Coca-Cola, and Hershey, we also wanted to balance out those beautiful ads with beautiful editorial design. We do know that our magazine has a shelf life of about 5 months. We had that information from a reader survey that we did. So because of that, we wanted to include some more bite-sized information through infographics, call-outs, and visuals that just relate throughout the content for easier comprehension. Our thinking was that with these infographics, if people are flipping through quickly, maybe something can catch their eye and they can read it quickly and even tear out the page and keep that page with them if it's relevant information. And the cover was also important. We wanted a minimalist design, and we wanted to focus on a main image that would communicate visually without you necessarily having to read what is going to be inside the magazine, but you could pick up on it visually. Content-wise, we had the reader survey in 2013, and we took into account the type of topics readers wanted. They wanted on-trend topics within the industry, such as food service issues, fresh and healthy food options. We all know convenience stores have a reputation of having a lot of junk food and donuts and that type of thing. And right now there's really a big push for more fresh options. And then they also wanted innovative products. And they just wanted on-trend topics within business in general, leadership issues, diversity, Affordable Care Act, consumer behavior, swipe fees. So we took that all into account and came up with a new design. So this is what we looked like in 2013, before the redesign. We have a section that we do 4 times a year called Cool New Products Guide, and it focuses on some new products that are out there, a little bit of information and that type of thing. And then after our redesign, that's what we looked like. Just fresher and a lot more white space within the Cool New Products Guide. There's more focus on the picture of the product versus the words. And so the process that we used to select the entries that we wanted to submit for the Excel Award, the criteria that we used, well, like Rick also mentioned, we're of a mindset that we should also be creating award-winning content and design all the time. It's not specifically just to win awards. So it's a continuous discussion about how we want the magazine to look, what content we want to provide, and we usually meet on a yearly basis to discuss it. It's not a total revamp every year, but there are some slight changes regarding what columns we think are still relevant and how we want to present that information. So there were 2 key elements that we used for the criteria. We used design and content, and I did mention that we won for some of our marketing pieces, and for those pieces we also used metrics. So for the award submissions, it's a collaborative effort for the publishing team and also for the marketing teams. We just meet up at the end of the year and we bring along what we feel are going to win some awards and things that would be relevant to just the layman, because we know that the folks that are judging are not necessarily in our industry. So maybe there's some topics that are more widely known, that have been in the news and that type of thing, that we can pick out and submit those. The designs had to be impactful and make an impression, and they had to intelligently and clearly support the message that we wanted to deliver. And for content, it was a bit tougher, as we are a retail publication, and as I mentioned, we do have some topics that are industry specific. But for the January, February, and March issues, for January, we had Apple Pay, which we knew was really relatable. For February, we had women in leadership. And then March is traditionally our fuels issue, which is very heavy in the industry and can be kind of boring with a lot of charts and data and that type of thing. But there was still very relatable content throughout it. We had stuff, we had a compensation infographic, we had a feature about social media, and another feature about leadership. I had my husband come up to the office this weekend to help me out with some stuff, and I had a couple issues preparing for this session on my desk, and he saw that issue with the Apple Pay, and he's like, "Oh, can I take this?" I'm like, "You really want to read that?" He's like, "Yeah, it's talking about Apple Pay. I want to see what you guys are talking about." So, as I said, the layman can understand it because he's definitely not in our industry. So the third thing I'm going to talk about are the tips. I participated as a judge for the 2012 virtual judging, which are the digital entries. And then for 2013, I did the on-site judging, which are for the print entries. And for 2013, I was so sure we were a shoo-in for a gold in general excellence, because Erin, who is the VP of publishing at NACS, was also on the AMNP board, and I was judging. So it's like, how could we not win something? But I am here to tell you guys, the judges cannot be bought. But looking back between our 2013 and 2014 designs, I can see the growth and I can see why we did win it for 2014. So some elements that you should include in your description. The judging is a day-long judging, and it's from 9 to 4. And as Rick mentioned, we get divided up in tables, and there's just a lot of content to get through in those 8 hours. So I would say that you need to be succinct. You need to talk about who your audience is, write for the layman, make it as easy as possible for just anyone to be able to read over that description and to know what you're talking about. I suggest just using bullet points and just being on target with that. And then include any relevant ROI facts if you have them. Was this piece different in previous years, and did you change it based on data that you received or feedback that you received? For budget for competition entries, it's important for us to show that NACS is well recognized outside of just our industry. So we take back this information about the awards that we win, and we show it to our board, we let our staff know, we do social media posts, and we just, we like to toot our own horn. We want people to know that it's not just industry specific, that this can be read and be relevant to anyone. And we include incremental budget each year for award competitions. And another way you can kind of stretch to get your brand out there is if you have a design partner, have them submit on your behalf. That way you don't have to pay for it and you don't have to do the work for it, but your brand is out there. Some of the other competitions that we've entered are the Association Trends All Media, where we did win a silver award for our advertising media kit. The Custom Content Council Pearl Awards, where in 2011 we won for Best Editorial Feature. Apex Awards, we won the 2009 Custom Publishing, and Astrid Awards, we won 2009 for design. And then I mentioned we won two in 2013, 2 Excel Awards for feature articles, and then of course this year where we had our 4 awards. So that's it. Any questions?
Before we go, we're a little ahead of time. Before we go, we'd like to talk a little bit more about making your entry in the Excel competition so you can maximize your chances of winning. I'm going to invite Lauren Norkin, our administrator, to come up. She personally handled most, if not many, if not almost all of the entries that we received in last year's competition, and will be doing the same thing this year. So she's got some insights on how to prepare the entries from her vantage point that might make it easier for you to have a good showing in the competition. Lauren?
I've been waiting a whole year to do this. I'm so excited. So, first and foremost, I'm your person. You have problems, you have issues, you have questions, contact me first. I'll make sure that your question is heard, your problem is answered, and your situation is resolved. My number is 703-234-4121. If you can't remember that, awards@associationmediaandpublishing.org. 2 A's in there. Be mindful of that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we went over the guidelines and the categories from last year and revised the entire thing. We looked at places where there were sticking points and problems and people made mistakes or people didn't do exactly what we thought they might do, and we revised it. So the first thing I want to say to you guys is don't assume, read the directions. And I'm going to give you a story. It was about a week before we were to get the digital judging online for the judges to see. And our lovely intern Yvette comes bounding up the stairs and says, "Lauren, I found the 3 C's." And she hands me a folder. And I said, "No, Yvette, 3 C's are digital. They're features, magazine features. This is not right." And she's like, "But it says 3C." And I opened it up and I looked at all of these printed things where people had maybe or maybe not read the directions, where it said, create a PDF, remove the byline, and remove the pictures, which I think they did, and then they printed it, and then they mailed it to me. I contacted about 200 people. And I got my last baby in right before it was time to judge. So everybody got judged, and it was great. But please, in the future, PDF is portable document format, is electronic. But this year, you laugh now, you guys weren't any of the ones who did that, were you? Right. Another thing that we did was review the categories to see if we could rearrange them. They're a lot more standardized now. So, you go from category to category and you have the same subcategories. One of them that we divided was video. That used to be one big fat happy category. Now it's 4: membership, promotion, other, and I'm missing one. So there's 4 categories there. So that's good for the digital judges that they don't have to look at 35 videos at 5 minutes a pop anymore too. And more things to win. So look at that category and look at some others too to see if there's some more suitable ones that you might like. We have a new online program that's been mentioned earlier. It has one glitch that we found so far. When you go to upload something, it looks like it's still going and whizzing and whirring. It's not. It's uploaded. Go to a different page and click back. And you should see an avatar that looks like an eyeball, and then you know that your upload is there. So take a look for that. Make sure when you're filling out your application that you put your whole team on there. There's a space for whole team. I campaigned very heavily to get your entire team to be put up there. So please give me everybody that you want recognized. There's a couple different reasons. One, obviously we want everybody to be recognized. But number 2, if you leave the company or the organization or someone else leaves the company or organization, I got other people to hunt down to make sure that you know that you won. So please give me everybody. I will find you. So, judging, a lot of the folks up here who won awards said that they judged. How do you think they got so smart? They looked at their competition. Judging day is so much fun. It was a hectic, wonderful mess, and it was great. And I highly encourage everyone to come because it was one of my favorite days in AMP, and that was long before the annual conference. And I got to meet everybody that I talked to on the phone 5 or 6 times and emailed 50 times to get me my PDF. So I got to meet everyone in person, and it was just that's really what AMP is all about, just seeing what's out there. And the last thing, some folks were talking about the brief description. Well, some things are exciting to some people, like, World Vision, where it has a cute child from Africa and how they're helping these children in this remote part of the world. And then you have the World Wildlife Fund with the charismatic fuzzy furries on the front. And then you have the parasitologists who did submit. I'm excited about parasites. I studied biology, but the judges might not be. So you have 150 to 250 words to get them excited about that topic. And even more importantly, explain to them the relevance. Why did this campaign work? Give them metrics and give them numbers. And those comments come straight from the judges that I was reading the comments. It comes straight from them. Did this particular campaign increase membership by 50%? We started with 100 and now we have 150. So give them something tangible to understand what it is that they're looking at so that they can judge you against someone else. Because yeah, the charismatic fuzzy furry might win, but when push comes to shove between 2 different issues, that description is a baseline against which they're judging, and that's how they can judge. Let me see if I got everybody. Okay, and I said read, don't assume. You got that? Okay. So those are my big comments that I've been holding in for a whole entire year, so thank you so much for letting me share them today.
Lauren really wanted to talk to you today, and I'm glad she did. That's it. I'd like to thank our host and food provider for today, Quad Graphics. And watch your email. You'll see something about the video from today, which I in particular have not been very helpful in the making of because I've not used the microphone all the time. And that's Sharon Sobel, who's done a great job for us as well. We've got about the last 4 or 5 months worth on video.